Hello.
Greetings, Mr. Fuller.
Yes, sir.
Greetings. This is Gus with the cows. Am I interrupting you, sir?
No, go right ahead.
Okay. Um, we were live during the program, and people, Troy Davis, the black male who was executed in Georgia just a couple days ago. I'm sure you're aware of what transpired.
Yes, sir.
Okay. A lot of black people that listen to the program regularly, they were just saying that they were really frustrated, disappointed, discouraged, just seeing white people continue to, kill black people at will, and just feeling like, how to handle this. And I thought it would be constructive to get your thoughts because I feel like, you've seen some of the really atrocious acts of white supremacy over the years, and you seem to not get discouraged about things when racism happens, as it inevitably does every day. Just what would your thoughts be, or what would you tell victims who are feeling discouraged about seeing black males like Troy Davis get executed?
Don't be and don't and do everything you can to stay out of anything that's got to do with police or law enforcement. As far as being arrested, I'll put it that way. Don't do anything to get arrested. That's all I can say. Do everything you can to keep from getting arrested, because that's what's coming down the pike.
Okay.
I mean, they can just get to the place where they expect that. That's going to go along with being arrested. It depends on who they want to sideline, and you're going to get accused of stuff because that's routine anyway. In other words, just consider yourself once you're in that greater confinement, then anything might happen. You might get killed by other prisoners, or you might be scheduled to be executed for something that you know nothing about. That's going to go with the territory. That's going to be worldwide for a while. That's what's scheduled. And putting black males, particularly, and a growing number of black females, into greater confinement has already been decided, because they can't have this ocean of black people out here just wandering around. I mean, with no jobs, no nothing, no dropping out of school, and those that stay in school, I mean, no jobs for them too. So the only option you have is make the compensatory investment request. That's it. That's the only thing you should be arrested for. If you're arrested on suspicion of something else and start getting that kind of reputation, hey, I'm not killing nobody. But, I ain't carrying no gun or nothing like that. See, and I get to the place where I think I got to carry one. Then, hey, I understand that it's all on me. I'm asking for sudden death. I'm going to deal out death, and I expect death back with no mercy given, none, no consideration. I expect everybody to come at me. That's got to be the mentality. Otherwise, you're going to get, because part of the code ideology is no surprises. Don't be surprised. Get out of the habit, or rather, most people don't have the habit, but get out of the mode of ever being surprised about anything happening that shouldn't happen. Don't be surprised. I'm in that mode all the time. Somebody tells me that the moon fell into the Pacific Ocean. I say, what else is new?
Uh, I,
They got it. All it is a mental thing. See, because black people are being killed all over the world, even if we speak. They're dying. They're dying in the desert. They're dying in Somalia right now. The babies are not even getting out of the mother's wombs. They'll be dead before the week is over. By the thousands. See what I mean? So this thing about black people dying is just a frame of reference that you want to put it in. That's the way you explain it to people. Black people are dying every day like flies, but they're still being born. And this is not just something recent. This has been going on all along. Dying of AIDS. Huge numbers of black people in South Africa, in Brazil, are dying of AIDS. And that's all a part of the plan. See, they don't have to put you in, strap you in no, electric chair or nothing. I mean, chop your head off like they do in some places. I mean, they don't have to do any of that. See, they just do the theatrics. Because they killed a white man the other day, same day.
Oh, Jasper, Texas. He killed
the one that everybody was demonstrating. A bunch of black people went down there to demonstrate in Texas when that happened.
Yes, sir.
Saying black people can't get no justice and all like that. See, but but you got to keep in mind the big picture. The white supremacists work on percentages. See, now they put a lot of focus on the Troy Davis thing to send a message. That's what that's about.
A message to whom?
To black people and to white people. Because this is just about election time. That's all this is about. This is just some stuff to back up people who are white men who are running for office. See, otherwise they could have played this down simply by not even mentioning Troy Davis at all, except as a footnote. I mean, it'd just be a little blurb in a local paper down there. But they blew it up so that everybody had caught the attention of everybody in the world. Well, see, but that's about just the election. They know how to play things up. They know how to play things down. They could have played up the white guy getting executed if they wanted to play that way. People just caught that kind of in passing. A lot of people didn't even remember Mr. Byrd being dragged behind that truck, or never heard it in the first place.
How does that benefit racist man, racist woman to play up the execution of Troy Davis?
Well, of course. Like I said, on account of they're backing up, there's people who are running for office who are, for the death penalty. And that's to back up and reinforce, because they noticed the other day, hey, some of those guys who were running for office said they believe in the death penalty, and they got applause. Okay? And like Osama bin Laden when he was killed. I mean, people were out there demonstrating, I mean, like it was a football game. So they're noticing that a lot of people have this, hey, kill somebody. I mean, there's Roman circus type thing. So, hey, play that for what it's worth during an election time. So, but I ain't got nothing else to run on. I ain't got to provide no jobs for people. I can't give people no money, nothing like that. Hey, have people vote for me saying, and hey, I'm not going to tolerate no people going around here shooting white cops. I mean, and I mean, when you do, I mean, you know what's going to happen. And I can play that up, or I can play it down. Depends on what they want to do. It's like I say, actually, if you go by the stats, though, you're killing black people every day in huge. I mean, all that stuff going on overseas, all that killing. I mean, that blowing up and whatnot. It's mostly non-white people dying. So what? Well, that's Joseph Stalin once said, when one man dies, it's a tragedy. When thousands die, it's statistics. And that's true. Yeah, 1,000 people can be, blown up, I mean, by some, like 20,000 were killed in one day in Bhopal back in the 1980s, just by that cyanide getting loose. They knew that thing was unsafe. They built that plant over there in India. Indirectly, the white supremacists, or it wouldn't have happened, nothing. I mean, hey, 20,000 people in certain, in certain other areas of the world die at one time. 20,000, and all all the cattle around in the area, that died. That was in Bhopal, India. Somebody, the white supremacists indirectly, I always blame them for that type of thing. They went and set up a plant where I think it was, there was something that had cyanide in it, I believe. I don't remember it exactly. That was back in the 1980s. But anyhow, they had an explosion at that plant. It was supposed to be producing some type of chemical fertilizer or something. And, a drug deal gone bad. The thing blew up. And the fumes spread all over the area and killed 20,000 people. That's huge. People coughing their lungs out and dying within no time, But, the Indian government, quote unquote, filed a suit against the company and whatnot. I don't know what happened with that. But the people were dead. See, but, the rest of the world, well, hey, India, man, 20,000 people in India, well, what if, that ain't unusual for India. India got a whole lot of people, so they won't miss 20,000. They'll just make more room for the rest of them.
I guess for a lot of listeners, that seems, extremely codified. I think that is the correct standard.
Yeah, and that should be paid attention to within the context that I'm talking, because, see, it shows you the power of what you can blow up in the press. And that can be dangerous in that all of the focus can be on one thing when something else is going on that's much bigger. And the white supremacists understand that very well. They can say, we're going to get these people excited about this. It might not even be a death. It can just be something else that's going on. Free Al Sharpton. You got him in jail on a bogus charge. They have everybody all upset about that. And they'll slaughter about a couple of million people in the Congo very quietly, without anybody paying much attention.
I guess.
Or they will put a whole lot of people, black people that got jobs, out of jobs. They'll say 40,000 black people, were laid off today. 40,000. That'll be a huge number of black people back in the streets on the same day that they arrest Al Sharpton. Seems to me. Or Maxine Waters or whomever, and put all the focus on that. And then down on page 3, 40,000 black people were let go, in different places, the post office or whatever.
Wow. Very sophisticated.
That'll be on page 4, see. Now, ordinarily, that would be front page. But the Al Sharpton story will take precedent, because that's what everybody be talking about. Why did Trump? They claim Al Sharpton, was involved in a robbery. Man, that's absurd. An armored truck robbery, Al Sharpton. No, we know that's a damn lie, but you don't have to arm no armored truck. Not the Al Sharpton. No. No, they just gone wild now on black people. And that's what we'll be focused on. See, now that would be, a non-just act. But see, it depends on how they want to manipulate people's minds. Most people never heard of Troy Davis until the other day. I know I hadn't. But they got a lot of black people on death row. Everywhere. Right now. Who are going to be executed. Ain't nobody going to hear about it. They don't even report most executions in most papers. When you consider the number of states that got, the execution thing. Now, that's not to belittle Troy Davis, but I'm saying, you can't get twisted out of shape about that, because that's a given. I mean, it's the Troy Davises that are not being executed after years of making appeals and all like that are being executed on the street. See what I mean? Executing each other to start with. And then the other thing, a lot of them are being gunned down. I mean, some black guy breaking into a place. I mean, there was a black guy killed. Well, now that I mentioned the armored truck thing, just the day before yesterday, the day after I think it was the same day that they killed Troy. Yeah, it was the same night that they killed Troy Davis. That day before the night, the black guy was killed in an armored truck robbery. He's trying to rob the armored truck. I mean, but he got the worst of the gun exchange.
Wow.
Two of his buddies, I mean, are locked up. I mean, but he got killed. See what I mean? So why are they trying to rob the armored truck? He ain't got no money. So they're trying to rob an armored truck. It didn't pan out.
As is generally the
case.
That's
another thing I have noticed too, is that, in former days, saying going back at least for the last 15 or 20 years, armored truck robbery usually was pretty successful. I mean, because the guards didn't put up no fight. See what I mean? They say, hey man, ain't my money, Yeah, I mean, hey, but they tighten up on it. See, I mean, the companies did, Loomis and Dunbar and all of them, Wells Fargo. They said, hey, we know what you guys are doing. I mean, the word is out on the street. Hey, they ain't paying y'all enough to get in no firefight. You're walking down the alley with that money in your hand, and they would look up and say, all right, man, give it up. They just drop both bags. Now they let the guys know, evidently, in their training sessions and all like that, hey, you want to hold this job, I mean, it better not look like you didn't, I mean, we'll begin to get the impression that you all in on it,
Someone, they asked me, this was about the whole Troy Davis thing, and I was presenting pretty something similar to what you were saying about just being codified and paying attention to the big picture, not to belittle Mr. Davis, but
right.
I was saying that I have heard you, I think, on programs, just looking at the way that black people will respond to this and all sad and everything, and I said it reminded me of you saying that we black people have become death lovers, and we just wait on that funeral so that we can, show out, and we're so concerned, but, we won't even pay attention to the live black people that are right there that need help.
Yeah. Right. Right. I mean, every day. I mean, black people that you can give them some help, maybe somebody could help them, whatnot. But they'll fill up them funeral homes and whatnot. I mean, or if it's going to be at a church and whatnot. I mean, you see black people and they ain't never been to church in 40 years, but they'll be in that church to a funeral. That's the only time they go.
I said
I
that.
mean, they ain't had on a suit, and I don't know when. They ain't never had a suit on in their lives. But they'll put on a suit and go and, and walk past that casket. Hey, brother, we miss you, brother. And they go by the casket. Gang members and whatnot. Man, you looking good, brother. You held up your end to the end. We gonna take care of it, though, man. Hey, let's all put our arms around each other. Give the sign, man. Everybody coming to church, I want to see you give a sign when you come down the aisle. Give brother his due respect, man. Let him know. Trey 5 is with him. That's a sad spectacle, too. Pitiful.
I could not agree more. It's almost like, in my opinion, it's pretending like we have a lot more concern for black people than we really do.
Oh yeah. It's just rituals, and and it comes under the title of pitiful. It's pitiful. People, all of us in that state of mind need to be severely pitied. Seriously pitied. A scene worthy of great pity. No strength there at all. Completely devastated. But the remedy, like I said, I told somebody else called me, and several people called me, and we're talking about it. I just said that, hey, if you got a record and all like that, and when you see the police car coming just cruising down the street, get out of sight. That's number one. Just don't do nothing to attract attention. I knew some guys, who, they were doing stuff. They were doing it undercover and all like that. I think it was dealing drugs, stuff like that. There's one thing I noticed, that's what the ones that did it for a long time, and as far as I know, never got caught. To my knowledge, it didn't appear that they got caught, because I would see them all the time. It didn't appear that they'd been locked up for no term, no long term or nothing. I know they had to be doing something illegal. I don't know what they were doing. But they'd be creeping around all day long. You'd see them all day long, so they didn't have no job nowhere. But I noticed the ones that survived a long time, right in the old age, never did anything to attract attention. They didn't wear no clothes that would attract attention. They didn't wear no hairdos that would attract attention. They didn't talk to people in a way that would attract attention. You'd see them and don't see them, Just coming and going. But they never did anything. If you heard them talking to someone, they always talk in low terms, in a polite, modulated voice, and, never standing on no corner, with 4 or 5 other people, and all that type of thing. See, so I think they just picked it up that, hey, the way not to get locked up is don't do nothing. If you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, don't do nothing to get nobody's attention ever. Don't even be seen in a ball game. Cheering your team. Somebody might notice you,
Wow. Makes total sense to me. I totally understand that point.
Yeah.
I feel like we would be, black people I'm talking about, we would be a lot better off just having that in. I think that's another reason I really appreciate the term victim of white supremacy, because I think it keeps that mindset that I'm in a vulnerable position and I need to act like that at all times.
Always vulnerable. You've got to be like a squirrel trying to cross the street, trying to cross the super highway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It makes because we just it seems. I mean, I see too much evidence that we lose sight of that all the time, thinking that we
Yeah.
are tough or tougher than we think we are. That we can deal with these white people. I saw someone they posted. They said what should be done. Black people should riot. They should riot, and that would show these white people. And man, why that's in your
No, no,
code.
been there, done that, man. I mean, the black people in L.A. They know about that, and the old ones. I mean, that remember the 1990s riots and whatnot, the Rodney King riots. They don't want to do that no more. I mean, 'cause didn't nobody suffer for them. It was. I remember on television they showed they were reporters were interviewing a white woman in Simi Valley, which overlooked the riot area, and you could see the smoke in the distance coming from South Central in the background, and she was out there watering her lawn. And so the reporter asked her, what did she think about the black people rioting, behind the Rodney King thing? She said, oh, they're a bunch of fools and whatnot. She said she don't care about them rioting. They're not in Simi Valley. You know, they're over there burning up their own houses, their own neighborhood, their own streets, places where they got to work. you know, I don't go to South Central. Let them burn it up. Burn them up. I mean, that was her attitude. She was almost smirking.
Mm.
Let them. Let them have fun. Right. And sure enough, I mean, when there was nothing but ashes, see, because I witnessed that in 1968 here on the street where I was, 1606 K Street, Northeast Washington. And it's one block from 8th Street. 8th Street was the hub of black activity. The theaters and grocery stores and drug stores, all of that right there on 8th Street. They burned 8th Street to the ground. I mean, fist in the air, carrying placards and all that type of thing, And law enforcement people, they just let them burn it. I mean, squad cars was coming just with the sirens going, just racing up and down the street, but they wasn't jumping up doing nothing. I mean, they shot a few tear gas canisters and whatnot, but the street burned, And after it was all over, it was just lines of black people, you know, with the little food trucks coming around, all like that, trying to get some water, trying to get some milk. Young black girls out there. My grandmother have to have some milk. My grandmother got to have this. I mean, she got to have her medicine. Ain't no drugstores around here. How's she gonna get her medicine? I'm trying to get these prescriptions filled. See, the white supremacists knew that. They let them burn down their neighborhood. All it means is they're gonna be out there begging when it's all over. Where they gonna get food? Where they gonna get toilet paper? Now they got to go, go out in the suburbs to get toilet paper. They ain't got no transportation. They burn down the grocery store, Giant Foods. I mean, that's where they got their toilet paper. They don't think ahead. See, they can't think. They're dummies. So that's in my book, I mean, hey, don't participate in no riot. Because all it means is just, burning down buildings and whatnot. And what white, see, we're not logical in that floods put whole cities underwater. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So destroying things is not helping black people at all. I mean, you're just pan a camera over a flood. I mean, look at New Orleans, completely underwater. You don't have to have no riot. We can just open the floodgates if you just want to destroy the town. But that don't hurt the white supremacists. It really doesn't. Because they have floods everywhere. And the riots do a whole lot less damage than the floods. See, so it depends on where the riot is. Okay? And when they had that riot here in 1968, And those black people, a few black people talking about going across Key Bridge, where the white people were.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, they knew better. Because the first thing you see when you went across Key Bridge at that time was guns and ammunition stores.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When you go across, make that curve off of M Street and start across Key Bridge. I mean, the first thing you see in the distance is on the other side. I mean, the pawn shops, ammunition, all kinds, guns, Ralph Jones guns, all that type of thing, Army carbine surplus. And the guy who I work with, a white guy, said, man, I mean, he was just bold, flat out with it. He said, we were just wishing that they'd come across that bridge.
Oh, my gosh.
Said, man, we had pickup trucks full of ammunition and whatnot like you wouldn't believe.
He told the white guy just told you this?
Yeah, the white guy told me that. Said, guys was all up in the trees, man, with binoculars and whatnot.
Good gosh, man.
They were just wishing, they got real wild and think they're going to leave the ghetto and come over there across that bridge into Arlington County. And, there would have been a slaughter. It never got halfway across that bridge. I mean, every guy that had a rifle, man, I never got a chance to try out my new rifle with it. Man, I got a scope and everything,
Wow.
I can hit a fly at 400 yards.
I heard black people.
And black people, these gang members and all like that, they think they know something about some firepower. They'll get a shock if they go up against the good old boys. You can't do it that way. Boy, they love that. These are guys that go on the firing range. I mean, they go out in the country and shoot all the time. They target practice. Homeboy don't get no target practice. That's what happened to them guys tried to rob an armored truck the other day. I mean, bullets was all through the windows and whatnot. They didn't hit nobody, but they got hit. They look at too much television. Pop, 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 pop. Somebody laying on the ground, I mean, getting a good sight picture of them. I mean, fired as one shot. Hit them right between the eyes. They done emptied their clip. But at nothing, I mean, except just hitting trees and wind, and people's parked cars and all that. Some of them ain't never even fired a gun. Think they can just put a lot of bullets out there. Yeah, you can. I mean, hit a whole lot of what you're not shooting at. Particularly if you're running and all like that.
When I heard black people, the first time I heard of black people say that in relation to what happened with Mr. Davis, I remembered when they kept reporting the record numbers of ammunition sales when President Obama became president. Man, those white, exactly what you said.
They are stocked up. They are stocked up. They are ready. I mean, that is something that they love. It's mass shootings. They love that type of scenario. What they don't have a defense against is one person suddenly showing up, unexpected. That's maximum emergency. You don't have no defense against that. One person that nobody expects has got nothing on his mind, showing up at a certain place at a certain time. somebody's out there with their fist in the air, I mean, and woof, 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 woof. I mean, here we come. Boy, they love that. Whole bunch of black people, I mean, all out in the middle of the street getting ready. We gonna do our thing. All of y'all gonna die. Gonna make all that noise and then you're gonna die. Be running like chickens.
We should know that by now. I just feel like that shouldn't even have to be said. 2011 black people should know that rioting is not going to end white supremacy, period.
Absolutely. Not going to even put a dent in it. I mean, just going to get a whole lot of black people killed in a whole bunch of places that they depend on for some kind of support. I mean, during the riots here in 1968, there's black people that was dying. I mean, they set one place on fire, standard drug, and it was a crippled old elderly black man. I mean, he couldn't get down the steps. He lived up over the drugstore, and he burned to death. That kind of nonsense. In Detroit, a young boy threw a Molotov cocktail, gasoline bomb, into a liquor store, and then ran across the street and standing there watching the liquor store burn. Now, here's what he hadn't figured. See, the fire department didn't show up. So the liquor store burned to the ground, and all the other row houses next to the liquor store burned, one right after another, on account of the liquor store burning. And it marched right down the block and burned down his grandmother's house. He didn't know nothing about fire. All right. Hadn't thought that far ahead. He just burned it down the liquor store. He burned up the whole block. Everybody's houses. Black people running out of the houses. Asking where's the fire department. The fire department ain't coming there. The fire department's all white. You can go in down there, with them niggas down there with guns shooting and whatnot.
Wow.
Because, see, they put out a rumor that somebody had fired at the fire department when they showed up, And so they said, we're not going down there, I mean, they started the fire, let them put it out.
Wow. That.
So now the older, the black people who were around during the Rodney King riots, certainly during the 1960s, during those riots, they know that rioting does not pay off. It does not. I mean, it makes no sense at all, particularly when you start burning down stores. You burn down the stores where you usually have to go and do your shopping.
Wow. I was just curious because you were talking about they were able to put out during the 60s riots, they were able to pull out this rumor that someone shot at the fire department. And you touched on earlier, racist man and racist woman being able to use media, or really just being able to disseminate confusion, information. They reveal it as they want to. Did you see the evening on Wednesday evening when Troy Davis, he was scheduled to be executed at 7, and they reported that, oh, wait a minute, we've had a delay. And they said, I read this report live on the program because they said last minute decision caused confusion outside the prison in Jackson, Georgia, where the families, they thought that, oh, his life has been saved. And then they came back and said, oh, no, that's not what it was. It was just a delay. And then they went ahead with the execution.
Yeah, went ahead with the execution. Right.
And I thought,
now you see it, now you don't. Well, are they going to do it? No, they're not going to do it. Yes, they are going to do it. No, they're not going to do it. No, at the last minute. Now it's with the Supreme Court. No, it looks like they're not going to do it. Yeah, it looks like they are going to do it. You know, confusion.
Mm. That reminded me of when you talk about racism, white supremacy is a royalist system, just splashing mud on people, having fun, practicing race.
Sure. Right. Right. And like I said, controlling the what is important and what isn't. The Troy Davis thing is important until, we decide that it ain't important, and we can manipulate that. We can blow it up real big, or we can make it a real small thing. I think they had 4 executions that same day.
Wow.
Yeah, in different places.
Wow. And you said, I suspect you are absolutely correct that a lot of people didn't even know who Troy Davis was until this week. And
I didn't know who he was. I didn't know nothing about it until they was talking about they fixing to execute him. Never even heard about the case. I knew about the James Byrd thing, but I thought those guys had been put in the penitentiary and were given life. But on the same day that they executed Troy Davis, they executed one of them white guys out of the 3. And I think another one is scheduled for execution.
Mm-hmm.
But the average black person would say, the average black person would say, who's James Byrd? You see what I mean? They don't even know the black guy that was dragged behind the truck. That's another thing that white supremacists know. People in general have short memories. That's all people. They got short memories. And black people in particular don't hardly have no memory at all. We don't keep track of hardly nothing. And once a day is gone, that day, hey, we just remember somebody we got a beef with on a personal level.
That's true. That is true.
And we'll remember that forever, Hey, man, that's that dude, man. Man, the dude beat me out of my money, man. He didn't pay me for my stuff, I started killing. Still might do it. I think about it, I get mad. Like nobody messing over me. Think he's nigga slick. I got something for him. Well, when was that, man? Right after we got out of high school, man. About 10 years ago. Every time I see him, I want to bust him. Junior League, Tony Soprano.
That's about it. That is about it. Wow. And I knew just exactly what you're saying in terms of them just being able to focus attention where they want it to be and how long they want it to be, because I was seeing a lot of white people talking about Troy Davis, and if it was not for your work, I would have missed this totally. They had a photograph, huge photograph, right after they executed Mr. Davis. It was one of the main photos. It had 2 white women, or at least one, and they put in the caption for the photograph that these two
Mm-hmm.
lesbian white women were outside
Mm-hmm.
mourning Troy Davis. And I said, oh
Mm-hmm.
man, this is,
Yep.
man, racists are on their
Yep.
job.
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
man.
Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm.
They were teared up and made it look like they were so concerned and this was such a terrible thing, and they made sure to make it explicit that these two
Mm-hmm.
folks are into lesbianism and they're really concerned about Troy Davis, and don't you see, gay people, we're concerned about black people too. We know you
Oh
all.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We're with you. I mean, and you all join up with us, and everything will be all right.
Mm-hmm. 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 We know what it feels like to be oppressed too. They're doing the same
Yeah.
thing to us.
Oh yeah.
We should get
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. They know how to make those moves, right? And make them right in your face, and you're not supposed to figure out what's going on.
Man, soon as I saw that, I was trying to share that with other folks, and it was so many people. They said it just your work, because really, other than you and Dr. Wells, and I just don't hear black people connecting those two. That this,
Well, they haven't started with the fundamental. There's a system of white supremacy in place worldwide, and everything is geared to support that system. That's it. Now, anybody who tries to work outside of that parameter is going to get lost. Everything is geared up for that. Everything that's major, everything that has any significance, is geared to support the system of white supremacy, an entire world system. A person got to get that fixed in their minds, and then everything else falls right in place. But otherwise, you're going to have that confusion. Like I said, everything else will confuse you. If you don't have that in mind, you start with from any other premise, you're going to get lost. That just goes with it. If you have doubts about that, that's when you start getting lost, and that's when the confusion comes in. Just like anybody, driving down the highway and you get lost. All of a sudden the road don't look familiar. They must have done something that, hey, what happened to the trees that used to be here? I must be on the wrong place. See, you're getting confused now.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Good. Confusion. And they had this white woman, her name is Lynn Hopkins. She's a minister. She was out I saw her on television repeating, and I didn't even watch very much television that day, but I saw her. They had her out. She was speaking and yelling, this is wrong, this is an injustice, and you're not going to do it in my name, and made sure she was one of the prominent speakers that you saw if you were, tuning in to see what happened to Mr. Davis. And then they just boop, make sure they slip that into, oh, she's lesbian, and her lesbian partner's here. And
oh, sure. Rachel Maddow.
Wow. That really on their job. I know on the program, like I said, we talked about it. Just, I guess it would be helpful for some listeners, because it seemed like people were really bothered about it. They were watching it and just it upset them. Do you have any suggestions, things you could tell people to kind of help get them to that point of where?
Just tell them is what I said about that. The white supremacists directly, indirectly set it up, so that would be a focus, and so that they could have headlines like that. I mean, and then have lesbians saying, "Oh, and the same old thing about that I said about lynchings and whatnot. I mean, there's always 3 or 4 white people standing on the edge of the crowd saying, "Please don't do it." Even back in the 1920s, it was always, 5 or 6. I mean, pan the camera to some white woman. I mean, breaking down in tears. I mean, falling down in the mud, sobbing. But they would go ahead and lynch the black guy. That's the key.
That's the other, I hadn't even thought about that. They had a lot of white people who were speaking out for Troy Davis. It was I think they had Jimmy Carter. He stepped out and said he didn't think it should happen, and it was a lot of white people speaking out saying this shit. You had a lot of them this time. I think if you don't what you said, if you don't understand as a total system, man, you would think it's tons of white people who, they don't support racism. It's tons of white people who are with us, and they don't support this at all. I think I know I would have been super confused just because it was so many white people that looked like,
Sure. Right. Now, Troy Davis was a guy that went to school and learned to be an electrical engineer. And got him a good job, and never was on anybody's radar or anything like that, and just went out and tried to buy a house next door to any of them white people. It might have been a problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the day
I mean, he'd walk out to go to work, and, in his suit and tie and all like that, and there's a whole lot of trash being dumped on his lawn. Somebody came through there in the middle of the night, with 2 or 3 drums of trash and dumped it on his lawn. Sent him a message.
They just did that in I'm sure they're doing it every day someplace, but they just had it reported. It was in New Hampshire. They just did that. It was some non-white people. They had bought a home, and they went and wrote on the house, "We don't want you niggas here," and they didn't blow that all up on TV and have people.
Yep. Troy Davis would not be trying to get in touch with the NAACP about no murder. See, he'd be trying to say, can anybody do anything to keep these people every 2 or 3 weeks from dumping stuff on my lawn? Same people who was out there crying. Right.
Exactly. We do not understand that at all. All. Master illusionist. Like, man. Wow. That that was the main thing I wanted to get just your thought. That was fantastic. I will share that with as many folks as I can. Just try to get that mindset of just expect anything. If the moon should drop out of the sky, anything. As long as white supremacy is rolling, expect.
As long as white supremacy exists, we're going to have the Troy Davises and whatnot. They may be next. I might be next,
Exactly. Dr. Welsing, she was on the program yesterday, and she was saying the same thing. She said, this is war. Racism, white supremacy is war. When you have soldiers in a war, people are dying all the time. You do not stop and cry every time someone dies and throw a fit and get, go into despair. What is our objective? You continue with whatever your mission is to accomplish that objective. That's the way we should look at it.
Sure.
Man.
When you're stopped on the street, don't go into that ghetto act. Hey, stop that. Don't get a reputation for doing that. You're now in enemy territory. You're like a paratrooper that's been dropped behind enemy lines. That's just the way I look at it. As soon as you come out of your chute, you're surrounded by soldiers who are pointing rifles at you. You know what that means. You put up both hands and don't make no sudden moves. You are now a prisoner of war. That's it. And act accordingly. Otherwise, you'll die on the spot. Ain't nothing going to come of it either.
He was going for it.
You go into the prison camp, and you bide your time. until you can escape or until the war is over or whatever comes first, you know. But you just understand, hey, these people with these guns are no friends of yours. I mean, these are not your buddies y'all had a little falling out. No, you're a prisoner of war. These guys mean business. These guys are trained to kill.
Every day. Every day.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, that. Thank you. I thoroughly appreciate it, Mr. Fuller. Yeah, I didn't mean to take up your whole Friday morning.
No problem. None. Mm-hmm.
For sure. I will definitely be in touch as soon as possible if I have some more views to exchange. And just thank you. Thoroughly appreciate it. And I will be in touch soon.
Okay, we'll talk.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Man, always good to hear from Mr. Fuller. Always good. I saw, man, I'm seeing people posting and commenting about the execution of Troy Davis. And man, Mr. Fuller, who could have said it better? Not to belittle any victim of white supremacy, Troy Davis or anyone else, but I mean, this happens every day. I think I said it on the program yesterday. I think people have already forgotten about Kenneth Harding Jr., black male, Bay Area, didn't have bus fare. It happens every day. It's not to belittle any of the victims. And I said that before. I don't think it's the most constructive investment of time. Every incident where enforcement officers gun down a black person or white people shoot up a black person, I'm not even sure it's constructive to do a broadcast for those types of programs because it happens so often. You would be doing that every day. You would literally be doing that every day. I'm sure there are some black people that enforcement officers are going, beat down today, wrongfully in prison. I mean, that happens thousands of times a day, all over the world. And particularly when you start thinking globally, I mean, that's what racism, white supremacy is. Terrorism every day, just be codified. Mr. Fuller said, expect anything to happen as long as this system is in effect. Expect anything terrible, disastrous, all sorts of calamities. That's what white supremacy is supposed to produce. And if you do not understand that, you will be, stressed, wigging out, going crazy, biting your fingernails every time you read the newspaper or turn on the television, because there's always going to be something bad happening to black people and non-white people worldwide. Just thought it would be constructive here from. I was trying to talk to Mr. Fuller yesterday morning to get him to share that. Didn't happen. But because that didn't happen, the program with Dr. Welsing took place, and then I was able to get Mr. Fuller today. So everything worked out well. A little patience and counter-racist grind. We'll be back tomorrow. I wish I had recorded the audio because, man, Mr. Fuller brought up beautiful illustration, and Troy Davis was just regular dude, not in jail. All these crying white people, the anti-sexual Lynn Hopkins, they would not be rallying around him, to make sure that he does not experience racism, white supremacy. It would not be going down like that at all. And the report that I was talking about, it was on racismdaily.com. The title of the report, Conquered Home Targeted with Hateful Message. I'm just reading the report. Concord, New Hampshire. Manasseh, oh my. I can't even make an attempt at this last name. We're just going to, victim, we'll just say victim. You can read the report. My apologies, no disrespect. I just don't want to butcher this victim's name, so I'm just not going to even attempt this one. The victim said a message was left on his house written in black marker and contained several sentences full of racism, white supremacy. Man, in quotes, the victim saying, "We don't understand. We don't understand." They had to say it 2 times. times. Wow. The victim said his daughter noticed the words, Sunday morning, the religion of white supremacy. They got up on the Sabbath or Saturday evening, Sunday morning to go out and scrawl racist messages on someone's home. Anyway, the victim's daughter noticed the words Sunday morning after he had already gone to church. When he got back, he said police were at his house. The victim said he is now worried for his family. He is a pastor at a local church, and his children go to public school in the city. Having lived both in the Congo and Rwanda, the victim said he's always felt welcome, never targeted. This is our first time, and we have been here 5 years in the house. We have a good community and neighborhood, said the victim. The victim said his house is not the only house that has been hit. 2 other houses on neighboring streets had similar messages, seemingly written by the same person. Each refers to the families as subhuman and said that the people targeted are getting a free ride. Each family who was victimized is from Africa. It's 3 houses and the same message. We need to know exactly who did this, said the victim. This is on WMUR.com. The name of the report, Conquered Home Targeted with Hateful Message. Notice they didn't say racist. Hateful words, very important. You can actually read. They have video, right? If you go to this report, so you can hear the video report of what happened, and you can see the writing on the actual house. If you are really interested, you can Google this, because I saw photographs, and they have photographs where you can read what was written on the house. I would actually read that if I had been prepared to read this report, but I didn't know Mr. Fuller was going to go there. But you can Google it. I've seen it, and you can actually read what the racist wrote on the house. But yeah, beautiful illustration. Racism Daily, RacismDaily.com. At any rate, I thought excellent information from Mr. Fuller and Dr. Welsing. If folks didn't hear, that was short notice. Dr. Welsing was on the program yesterday evening. That would be today's date. I'll go ahead and get that in. Today's date, Friday, September 23rd, 2011. Dr. Welsing was on the program Thursday, September 22nd. If you didn't hear it, it was very short notice. I spoke to her at, I think, 7 p.m. Eastern, and we went live at 8 p.m. Like, I made the request to see if she would be able to come on the program at 7 p.m. Eastern. We went live at 8 p.m. Eastern, so it was very short notice. But man, she did an hour, in my opinion, fantastic hour of information, and she too was talking about Troy Davis and being codified. I will say again, victims of white supremacy, be not discouraged. It is terrible. Every day is terrible. I mean, that's why I say, when people ask me on the program when I'm being codified, I am intensely victimized. I say that every time because it's true every time. Get that in your head. It will help you maintain a level of balance, if you will. We're in a very unbalanced system. In my opinion, it's very helpful. It will help you maintain equilibrium so that you're not up and down all over the place, because this sort of thing is going to be happening. As Mr. Fuller said, white, it's no problem. It's nothing to go kill 50,000 black people in one day, much less one. It's nothing. It's nothing. They probably got that in the plans for today. You've been watching what's going on in Libya, and they got the so-called famine in East Africa, the area of the world known as East Africa, Somalia, that he was mentioning. It's nothing. They do this every day. So, I mean, yeah, just have that in mind. This is what we're dealing with. It's war, as Dr. Welsing said yesterday, and in war, you can't do that. You can't throw your rifle down every time, you know, one of your comrades, somebody that is on your team, put that in quotes, goes down. It's going to happen. That's what war is about. You're going to have casualties, and we're going to have a lot of casualties. However, you stay focused. You stay focused, stay on the assignment, replace white supremacy with justice, and make an effort to do it as soon as possible so we don't have to continue to endure this. Yeah, and Mr. Fuller, veteran giving that report. Fantastic. We will be back. This was just, as I said, a little extra because I know people were upset about what happened with Mr. Davis. We will be back. We'll be back tomorrow. That would be Saturday, September 24th. Mr. Lee Jasper rioting the so-called London riots. We'll be back tomorrow. The program time is 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Mr. Lee Jasper will be joining us live from the United Kingdom. He was just in a debate on the so-called London riots and what happened, the anti-blackness in the area of the world known as the UK and worldwide, but specifically focusing on the UK. That will be on Saturday, and on Sunday we will have Pam, co-author of Trojan Horse, Death of a Dark Nation. She'll be joining us to talk about anti-blackness, mega problem. Black people are anti-black. Mr. Fuller just touched on that too. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Sunday program, Sunday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern, to address different ways of being truthful about that black people are extremely anti-black, as is the entire planet, and how to navigate such an environment to the best of our ability, and to erode that as much as possible as well. Yeah, lots of programming, staying on the counter-racist grind. I think I'm good. I'm going to try and get some rest, prepare for the programs, and yeah, see folks. Got to tune in. Make sure you're going to the web page, or you can join the Facebook group. Generally, when I do a program, I post on the Facebook group. That way, people will know. So you can join the Facebook group. If you're on Facebook, you can just search for Context of White Supremacy. It should pop up. There are two of them. You can. I generally just add people to my page. So if you want to join my page on Facebook, it's facebook.com/the problem is white people. Say it again. Facebook.com/the problem is white people. I put posts on my Facebook page as well. You can make sure you sign up at TalkShoe, and you should get notifications. You can get text alerts when they're going to be programs. Twitter, you can also join my Twitter page. I post the programs on Twitter so you can get notifications. Lots of ways to make sure you stay in the loop. I do try to do spontaneous programs from time to time. Never know who might be dropping in to hopefully offer constructive information. So if you think the program is constructive, invest, and you can try out those different ways to make sure that you are in the know as to what programs are going to be happening and what guests are going to be coming through. Again, invest if you think the program is constructive. My blog address, racism-notes.blogspot.com. racism-notes.blogspot.com. My PayPal is on the blog, and I have a brand new blog post on my blog as well. Check that out. Should be, I hope, constructive information. Final thought I'll get in. One of the listeners, they were posting and saying that we refuse to even pick up a rifle. For the time being, I'm all right with that because it's been my experience because of the anti-blackness. When black people pick up weapons, invariably they end up pointed at other black people. Very unfortunate, extremely unfortunate, but I have seen that way too many times. I think the most powerful weapon non-white people can get a solid understanding of racist man and racist woman. The more we understand racism, white supremacy, man, that is a big part of our ammunition right there. Just having a better understanding of the people on the other side of the chessboard. Because I'm telling you, you pick up that rifle and you don't have that understanding, Gus is trying to get out of here because anti-blackness this Sunday. We'll flush all that out then. hopefully constructive. Share the links because I think a lot of people probably missed this because of the time and the short notice. So share the links and let people know they can tune in and get a solid hour, I think, of programming from Mr. Fuller. Thank you all for tuning in. I will play the commercial on the way out and make sure I support Reckless 2.0, excellent counter-racist material, Cree, counter-racist evolving engineer. Her blog address, cree7.wordpress.com, cree7.wordpress.com, 818, her blog address, ebonynewschannel.blogspot.com. Tater Pie, she has excellent counter-racist material. Her blog address, cowsclips.blogspot.com. She has lots of counter-racist clips from tons of different sources. Pam, TrojanHorse1.com. And I will end my special shout to Hakeem, a long-time listener. She was listening in live yesterday with Dr. Welsing, her blog. I picked the name for her blog. I totally forgot it, but her blog address, Frisky Kitty, counter-racist scratch post .blogspot.com. She's a big time animal lover. Animals have never mistreated me. I don't know any animals that have ever called me a nigger or executed a black person. So blog address for Akima, victim of white supremacy, Frisky Kitty, counter racist scratch post .blogspot.com. She actually did an outstanding broadcast on skin bleaching creams. Excellent. She was covering the symptom of our white chip still being active. Excellent program. I think it's on her blog. It's about an hour and a half broadcast. Cree's on that program as well, but excellent material. Lots of non-white people doing great work against racism, white supremacy. Hopefully we will keep our heads up, not be sad, stay on the grind. We'll be back tomorrow. I will play our commercial on the way out. Thank you, folks, for tuning in to the surprise broadcast. I hope it was worthy of your time and energy. Context of White Supremacy will sign out after I finish the sound clip. We'll sign out. Thank you.
RacismDaily.com, your number one source for global news reports on race, racism, and overt actions of white supremacy. From Asia to the Americas to Europe to Australia to Africa, racism is not a thing of the past, it is our current reality. Be informed, be globally informed. You should be the first to know. RacismDaily.com, RacismDaily.com, RacismDaily.com.
Is racism hurting you? On issues of race, are you unable to speak, think, and act with clarity and confidence? Are you tired of laughing when nothing is funny, smiling when you are not happy, agreeing when you really disagree? At counterracism.com, you can learn specific strategies and techniques to counter the behaviors of the people who practice racism in all areas of activity, using words correctly, following counter-racist logic, even counter-racist science projects designed to reveal what racism is, how it works, and how to counter it. The open-source code writing format allows you to pick and choose from a variety of counter-racist suggestions so you can produce the code that works for you. Stop by counterracism.com today and help replace racism with justice.
That's counter-racism.com.
Do you need a one-stop shop for all of your multimedia needs? Triumphant Multimedia is a skilled team of professionals with a passion for great marketing and chic design. Our specialties include consulting, brand development, copywriting, and creative graphic design that's second to none. We also offer photography, photo retouching, videography, and video editing. At Triumphant Multimedia, our goal is to provide highly effective creative solutions built to suit any individual need or budget. Give us a call at 678-732-8067 or check us out online at trimultimedia.com.
Hi everybody, welcome. This is Justice with the C.O.W.S radio program. If you want to learn about, understand, and counter racism, white supremacy, be sure not to miss a C.O.W.S episode. We keep them jam-packed with constructive information to sharpen your use of words to help eliminate the system of racism, white supremacy, ASAP. Also, for more information on racism, white supremacy, and to invest in my counter-racist efforts, please visit my blog, justdojustice.blogspot.com.
You're just saying just buckets and buckets of words.
Yo, this is Wade, one half of the Black Twins, and I want y'all to check something out. Our latest project, Double Consciousness, the Mixed Message. This will be dropping October 2nd, 2011, featuring various audio from Umar Abdullah Johnson and Dr. Kambom, just to name a few. You can download this at www.gacmusicroom.bandcamp.com and at stlouismixtapes.com. That's STLmixtapes.com. Replace white supremacy with justice now.
This mixtape is only for victims of racism and white supremacy.